Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 911, 911, Saturday, September 28th, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well we got, again, another jam-packed TowerGate episode again today. It's going to be hard to get everything in. I'll do the best I can. So basically my opening statement here would be that the so-called whistleblower story is falling apart. It's definitely just another attempt to take out Trump in a deep state coup. We will learn the identity of the fake whistleblower. This is going to end very badly for the Democrats and their deep state allies. It is clear that Trump and Giuliani laid a trap and the Democrats took the bait. A couple other things here before we get into the details to explain or provide the evidence for what I just said. A couple things to keep in mind as we're going to learn as I go through this video, and you'll understand why I'm saying this. Both sides here have a plan. We are just now getting all this information just in the last week or so since this so-called whistleblower, fake whistleblower thing broke. But keep in mind, both Trump and his team, which I would assume people close to him, Giuliani, probably the Attorney General, some other people, were well aware of this whistleblower complaint. They've known about it for weeks, as has the Democrats. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that both sides have a plot and a strategy, or a plan and a strategy that they're following, which means that there is much more to come, more cards to be played on both sides. And I can tell you one thing, this particular deal right here is going to be very ugly. When the dust settles here, there is going to be blood on the floor. Some people are going to pay a high price, and I expect this is going to hurt both sides. But this is probably going to go to a knockdown dragout. Both sides will be hurt, but one side is going to get really, really hurt in this deal. Now, obviously, the Democrats have just gone away they've all gone away for 2 weeks on vacation. They're going to come back, and Madam Botox is going to be under tremendous pressure to hold that impeachment vote. And she may have the votes. And I imagine they want to take the next 2 weeks and play out their hand a little more and see which way it's going to go. Now, maybe Pelosi believes she can come back in 2 or 3 weeks and say, well, it's not really going the way we thought, and so I think I'm going to pull back. I don't think she can. I don't think she can pull back now. I think she is going to have to bring a vote to the floor. And again, I would not be surprised if they can twist enough arms to get enough Democrats to vote for the impeachment. I think it's at least 50-50 or better that she will be able to get the votes. I don't think she's going to walk it back. I think she is going to have to go ahead and have the vote. And that's when the blood's going to start flying at that point. That's when the fur will fly. And things are going to get really, really ugly in this particular deal right here. You thought Russiagate, Spygate, whatever you want to call it, you thought all that was ugly, and it was, and it still is. This is going to get really, really ugly. And I guess the way I'm trying to figure out the political strategy here, because when a speaker comes to the floor and holds an impeachment vote, if he or she, speaker, loses the vote, they usually have to resign. You can't play a card like that and have it fail and then hold your leadership position. So this is a move by Pelosi. Again, she didn't make the move before she left town, so she obviously didn't feel confident enough at that point, but maybe she thinks she can walk this back. I don't think she can. And when she comes back, maybe a week or two after she comes back, within that time period, she's going to have tremendous pressure to go ahead and hold the vote. And she may get the votes. But if she gets the votes, it's going to take 50 or so Democrats and seats that are in red states or districts where Trump did really well. And those Democrats will probably be asked to fall on the sword. I guess the reason that the Democrats would pursue this political strategy, because this is a fairly suicidal political strategy with a lot of downside and very little upside. Even if they get the votes and pass it in the House and it goes to the Senate, it's highly unlikely that they're going to get a 2/3 majority to impeach the president in the Senate where the trial was held. That is a very difficult thing to imagine happening. So the upside here for the Democrats is very low. But the downside for the Democrats is if Pelosi calls the floor vote and it doesn't happen, or she counts the heads and finds out she doesn't have the votes, and tremendous pressure is brought on her, this could cause not just a schism in the Democratic Party, but I mean the type of thing where you actually see a mutiny, where the Democrats who support impeachment, which would be probably in the 150, 160, 180 range, somewhere in there, could literally get together and tell Pelosi, either you bring this impeachment or we're going to depose you, give you a no confidence vote, throw you out. So this is a lot of downside for Pelosi. It's a very, very risky move. Now, obviously, as I just mentioned, there is more cards to be played. We haven't seen all the cards yet. The Democrats, clearly, this is a plot. This is a plan. They're working through it meticulously. They know what their next 10 moves are that we haven't even seen yet. This is like a game of chess. Both sides have already looked at what they believe they understand this game to be, and they have both planned and mapped out their next 10 moves. We have only seen the first couple of moves here. Both sides have more moves to make, and those moves are probably already pre-planned because there's other information that they're waiting to drop. They drop something, they wait for the response. Then they got something to answer that. Then the other side drops what they got, then they answer that. Then this will be what we'll see playing out over the next probably 30 days or so. I would think somewhere within the next month. Anything could happen that could blow it all up. But I think this is obviously going to be, it looks to me like this is going to be played out over the next couple of weeks. And we don't know what cards both sides are holding. That's what we have to keep in mind here. We don't know what the Democrats have, but we know that they have to have more than what we've seen now. There's absolutely no way, because remember who's running this. This is being run by the Lawfare Group. These are pretty smart people. These are the guys that's been running the entire Trump coup from day one. The whole Russia hoax. These are some pretty clever people. And they're not stupid people either. These are not the Democrats. This is not the Penguin. This is not the Pencilneck. This is not idiot Pelosi. No. They are the front people. The people who are actually creating and running this program are these lawfare people who are some pretty smart lawyers. They're the ones running this program. They obviously have a plan, and they obviously have other things that we haven't seen yet. There's absolutely no way in the world that you're going to convince me that we've seen their hand, that this is what they've got. There's just no way they would make a play that has this much downside based on what they have now. They needed something to start the ball rolling, to stir up the situation, because they've got something else that they need to use, but they can't use it unless it's predicated on something else that's relative. So they needed this for something else that they've got. We haven't seen their hand yet. You know, we may have seen a couple cards, but we haven't seen the best part of their hand yet. But we also have to assume that Trump and Giuliani and his people obviously have a pretty good idea what they might be trying to play, and they probably have a counter and probably even some offensive attacks of their own launch. So both sides have things that we have not seen. This is going to be playing itself out, so there's going to be a lot more to come here. And this one is going to be ugly. I can assure you that this one's going to be ugly. And I think when the dust settles on this one, there are going to be real consequences for some people. And I think the consequences could fall most heavily on Madame Botox. And secondarily, the consequences could fall on these 50-some-odd Democrats who won these seats in states where they're basically Republican districts. And like I say, I think the reason that well, I know why the Lawfare Group is playing this out and using the Democrats, because they must, because they and their friends are currently being investigated by Barr and Durham, and they have a lot to lose, as far as they could have their whole entire plot blown up, be exposed, and a bunch of them could be charged, indicted, whatever. They're fighting for their lives. I mean, it's not for them. It's not even the political consequences or anything. For them, they're fighting for their lives. Okay, the Democrats it's all politics. So the motives are different, but they all have something really important to them that they're fighting for here. But I think in the Democrats, I think for them, I think they realized they know they're not going to beat Trump in 2020 and win the White House unless if they have to run against Trump, they're going to lose. So they're going to try to make sure they don't run against Trump. They're going to try to get rid of him. They know they can't defeat him at the ballot box, so they're going to try to beat him some other way, and that is to destroy him. If they can't get him impeached and thrown out, they want to damage him so badly or create such a shitstorm that people just tune it out. They want to drive down Republican turnout and drive up Democrat turnout. So from the Democrats' point of view, this is all politics and election politics. But from the people running the program, the lawfare group, this is about protecting their asses and their assets, like Comey and Brennan and McCabe and Yates and the whole 9 yards. Those are all lawfare group people. And these are the smart guys in the room. And so we can expect, again, these are not dummies. They obviously have cards to play, and I think we're going to find out. But this thing is going to be very, very ugly. Trust me on that. I can just feel it in my bones. Yes, indeed. Mark Meadows was on Lou Dobbs. He told Lou Dobbs on Thursday night that the claim made by the so-called whistleblower on page 3 that the State Department official Ulrich Breckbuhl was on the call with Trump and Ukraine PM Zelensky was not on the call, according to State Department officials. Meadows says, "We are going to find out that there are more claims by the so-called whistleblower that will turn out to be untrue." I think what may have happened here, and we're starting to see this kind of thing show up now. So as Meadows is saying, there was a claim made in this so-called whistleblower report that a State Department official named Ulrich Breckbuhl was on that call. And the State Department is now coming out and said, no, he was not on the call. This leads me to believe that the deep state players involved in this particular coup plot probably did not believe that this transcript would be released. That's my guess. And I'm not sure if they saw it. They may have been given some general information about it, but I don't think they saw the text of this call. And I don't think that they thought that this would come out. That's just my gut feeling at this point. I don't know that. But based on this play, you wouldn't get something like that wrong. You wouldn't. In other words, they wouldn't have made this statement. He wouldn't have put this in a statement. And remember, it was prepared by a lawyer, and probably more than one lawyer. A lawyer would not put something in a statement unless the lawyer believed it was true. So this one has already come back to bite them in the ass. That would tell me that clearly they didn't see the transcript. If they did, they would never say this. And they don't have as much information as they think they have. That's what this tells me. Now, the whistleblower, alleged whistleblower, also said that the call between Trump and Zelensky did not contain anything, quote, remotely sensitive, unquote. And as it turns out, that's not true either. The call was classified as secret. All conversations between a president and foreign leaders is classified. All calls between the president and any foreign leader is classified. And this one would have been made classified secret because the two of them discussed issues involving other leaders, such as Merkel and Macron. They were discussed in this phone call. And that's generally not the type of thing that either president of either country would want out there. It makes things more difficult. And so just based on that, I would think that this call would have been put into the secret classification. It would have been classified probably at least confidential, at the very least. But I would think that because it involved the conversation about other world leaders, that would probably want to push them into the secret category on this particular call. And with all the leaks of all the calls going on, you would think that there's probably now more scrutiny on how they protect these conversations with the president and other world leaders based on the previous hundreds of leaks. So I think that needs to be taken in consideration. This also is another bit of evidence that would lead me to believe that the people who are behind this didn't have quite as much information about it as they thought they did, and that, again, that they did not see the transcript of this call. Because had they seen the transcript of this call, they would not, the whistleblower would not say that there was nothing even remotely sensitive in the call. That's just not accurate. So there's two problems right off the top, and there's more. So let's get away from that, get back to some other things, and we're going to kind of circle back around. So we now have the Rotten Reverend. The Rotten Reverend, now that she's practically pretty much ended Biden's campaign, which was one of the primary goals, the Draft Hillary operation can now begin. So we have the ending. Biden is now pretty much, he's on his way out. So the groundwork is now going to be laid for the Draft Hillary campaign, as I've been telling you for months and months now. Now, the Rotten Reverend has a whole slate of media appearances scheduled this coming week. She's going to be on CBS Sunday Morning. That's already been taped, and there's even teasers out there of it. She is going to be on, of course, Colbert, and she is, of course, going to be on The View and several others. And this is all to promote her new book called it's called The Book of Gutsy Women. The Book of Gutsy Women. That is the cover that she's going to use to go out and do media appearances. She's going to use this book release. Why would she release a book like this at a time like this? The Rotten Reverend recently said in an interview that, quote, things happened during the 2016 campaign that will not happen again. The Rotten Reverend recently said in an interview that, quote, things happened during the 2016 campaign that will not happen again. She also said Trump, quote, Trump is a illegitimate president. That's her campaign strategy. Trump's illegitimate. That is exactly why this plot that we're seeing now, the narrative of it is the same as the Russia hoax. Trump is using contacts with foreign governments to try to fix the election. Now they're saying to work with Ukraine to fix the 2020 election against Biden. That's the narrative. As opposed to fixing the election in 2016, working with the Russians against Hillary. So that's how you know this is coming from the Hillary think tanks. She says that Trump is, quote, spreading falsehoods about Joe Biden. Spreading falsehoods about Joe Biden. Why would she, no other Democrats are out there defending Joe Biden? Why would the Rotten Reverend come out and say, well, come out and defend Biden when she knows he's guilty as hell? And she would be his likely opponent. Because she needs cover. Because there are stories out there in the press that's being written about, hey, if you look at this thing, the person who might benefit the most from Biden being taken out is Hillary. She's obviously picking up on that. And so this is just a phrase that she threw out there just to try to throw a little cover for herself, to throw people off the trail, to act like she's actually standing up for Biden. Hillary doesn't stand up for anybody. She has no love for Joe Biden. She says Trump is spreading falsehoods about Joe Biden. There's no falsehoods that he's spreading. Everything he says is 100% accurate. We've got the damn videotape. John Solomon just dropped the damn records. So why is Hillary covering for Biden? She's not. She's covering herself. Because there are people now starting to tie two and two together and go, wait a minute, the person who really benefits from this would be Hillary. Because when Biden's gone, guess what? She's the only person who could step in and fill his void. Just as I've been saying for a very long time. So now we're hearing today that the Pencilnecked Geek, the bug-eyed fool, Adam Schiff for brains, is sending subpoenas to depose the following people. Yovanovitch, that's the ambassador who was working with the Ukrainians on behalf of the deep state, who Trump fired back in May. Also Kurt Volker, who's also one of the people in this. All these people are diplomats who have to do with either the State Department or the embassy involving Ukraine. George Kent, Ulrich Breckbuhl, and Gordon Sondland, and they are, of course, talking now about calling Pompeo to testify, as well as possibly Giuliani. Both Pompeo and Giuliani will shred the Democrats on that committee. Now, here's a little gem for you. In 1999, Bill Clinton signed a treaty with Ukraine that provides for mutual legal assistance on criminal matters between the U.S. and Ukraine. So there it is. There's the law that protects Trump right there. A treaty signed by Bill Clinton that essentially provides for mutual legal assistance for the two countries to work together on criminal matters between them. Here's another story that you're not going to like. The Department of Justice is now arguing, and I think that this is in relation to a Judicial Watch case. The DOJ is now arguing in court that Trump's order for declassification and giving AG Barr the ability to declassify the Carter Page FISA was not an official declaration. Trump's order for declassification and giving AG Barr the ability to declassify the Carter Page FISA was not an official declaration, according to the DOJ. They say it was only a press release. Diane Turn In Your Guns, Mr. and Mrs. America is calling for the word-for-word transcript. Now, why would she do that? Because she knows there is no word-for-word transcript. They don't do that anymore. They don't record the president's calls anymore. They have a couple people who are sitting there who listen to the conversation, and they essentially write out by, pretty much by hand, or I imagine they're typing, what the conversation's about, and they essentially get all the main points in there. But there is not a recording, so you're never going to get an exact word-for-word transcript. This is as good as it gets, and she knows that. But this is so that they can go out and say that there is a word-for-word transcript and that it's being covered up. Here's a question for you that a lot of people are starting to ask. Did John Brennan, Mr. Potato Head, plant the whistleblower, the CIA spy, what he actually was, inside the White House to spy on Trump? Did Mr. Potato Head plant the whistleblower inside the White House to spy on Trump? It's a perfectly reasonable question to ask, especially after we just found out about 2 weeks ago that Comey planted spies, more than one, in the White House to spy on Trump. Sure looks the same, like the exact same thing. And here you go. When I started the video, I made that statement at the beginning. Now, here's why I said that. Both the White House and Schiff and certainly if Schiff knew, other people knew. Both the White House and Schiff knew about the CIA whistleblower allegation shortly after the call with Zelensky. In other words, both Trump, Giuliani, and his team knew about this whistleblower complaint right after this call happened, as did the bug-eyed fool Adam Schiff. So here's what I think happened. The White House learns about this after the call happens, by which time, shortly thereafter, possibly even before, Schiff and probably others have been given this narrative. Schiff goes out and makes a tweet suggesting something about Trump and Ukraine. At that time, I'm certain that someone in the White House, maybe Trump, maybe someone else, saw the tweet and said, uh-oh, do you see what's going on here? They're planning something. What are they going to do? And I think they sat around and figured it out. So, well, they're going to... Obviously, we know about this. It's going to be leaked to them because this is a plot. It's going to be leaked to them, and they're going to use this to try to do another witch hunt. And that's probably when they put together their strategy for how to fight it. And that's why Giuliani said that they laid a trap, because they both knew what they both knew. And it goes back weeks. We are just now getting to where we are, but they're way ahead of us. They knew this a month ago. Before any of this came out, both sides knew that there was going to be a play and that it was going to play itself out. And they both started devising their strategy. And so we are kept in the dark mostly. We can just wait. We have to go day by day to see what's coming out. But both of these sides have a narrative, have a strategy, have a plan, and you can expect more things to come out from both sides. You can expect the deep state using the bug-eyed fool Adam Schiff for brains to conduct his part of the witch hunt in the House hearings, House Intelligence Committee. You can expect, as far as with the friends in the media and Lawfare and the others working behind the scenes. And then you can expect that the Trump team has a strategy to combat that or what have you, to counter it. So that's why I say there's more to come from both sides. You're going to see more stuff drop from Schiff, from the media, from the deep state, and you're going to see that Trump and his team, Giuliani, probably Sekulow, probably maybe Barr, I don't know who all, but probably they got a team of people too that are plotting their counter strategy for how to deal with this. And that's why I say this thing is going to get a lot more is going to come out. A lot more things on both sides are going to come out. And there's got to be something much more damning that the Democrats feel that they have, that card has not been played yet. They haven't played their main card yet. The main card was not the phone call or even the whistleblower. This is the setup to set the stage for whatever it is that they have. There's something they have, and this ain't it. The phone call ain't it, and the whistleblower ain't it. There's something else they have. We just haven't seen it yet. Now, whether or not Trump and his team know what that is, I don't know. But they're probably figuring that out right now. But I can tell you, this whistleblower and this hearing and all this, this is not it. There's absolutely no way these people are this stupid. No way. There's got to be something else that they have, but they couldn't use it unless it's properly predicated. This whistleblower setup and the scam that we're watching right now is simply had to be put in play to set the stage as the predicate for something else that they've got that they're going to drop probably in 2 weeks when Pelosi comes back from vacation. And that's what they're going to use to try to get those other 53 Democrats or what have you to sign on to impeachment so they can pass the vote. And then they're going to try to ram it very quickly into the Senate to try to force certain anti-Trump Republicans to sign on to it before this thing can unravel. Because they feel like they made that mistake in the Russiagate hoax. They waited all that time for Mueller, and they probably look back on it now and said, we screwed up. We screwed up. We should have struck when the iron was hot. Right when we had the thing at a feverish pitch, we should have went for the impeachment right then and there. We waited too long, and that's the mistake they don't want to make again. They want to strike this time when the iron's hot. They're going to use the next 2 weeks for propaganda time. They'll leak a bunch more garbage. They'll probably drop some more stuff, and they'll keep watching the daily polls. They'll keep watching everything. They'll look at those donations coming in. They'll watch all this stuff, and at some point, Pelosi will come back from vacation. They'll be watching, and there'll be a time that they'll think, okay, now is the time to strike, and they'll want to do it fast, and they'll want to do it hard, hoping that they can get this thing, the vote held, get it moved into the Senate, and try to ram this thing through before it can unravel. And they probably have enough fodder that they can throw into it to keep that from happening, to make sure it doesn't come to a quick conclusion. So the strategy by Trump and Giuliani and his team will be to try to wrap this thing up, expose this thing as quickly as possible. They know they cannot allow this to play out because they know exactly what the strategy is. I just told you. Then we have John Kasich going on CNN, and he's telling them that impeachment over the phone call is likely not to fly. Of course. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. This can't possibly be it. That's what I'm telling you. This cannot possibly be it. There's got to be something else. Got to be something else. And he also adds that nobody in Ohio is talking about this. You're absolutely right. Nobody's talking about this. Not where I work. No one's talking about impeachment. No one's talking about Ukraine. No one's talking about any of it. No one's talking about anything. And where I live, in southern Ohio, Trump is so popular, no one believes it anyway. It's all Trump supporters where I live. 90%. So, of course, it's not here. Now, Kasich is up in Columbus. It's probably more 50-50 up there. But even Trump's even more popular in Columbus now than he was. He was like 50-50 up there. He's a lot more popular in the southern part of the state. He's pretty unpopular in the northern part of the state. And then Columbus is right about in the middle, and it's pretty mixed. But he did pretty well in Columbus when he ran in 2016 in that general area. He won quite a few of the districts up there. So Kasich is right. Then we get big ears Eddie Munster, Paul Ryan. He's now sits on a board for Fox Media. And he's on TV on Fox saying he's embarrassed by Trump and trying to convince Fox that they should distance himself from Trump. Paul Big Ears Eddie Munster Ryan. I thought I was done with this guy. I thought we'd never have to see this guy again. I cannot believe he's back in Washington. And how in the world did he get put on the board of Fox News Corp? You got to be shitting me. Then we get the president calling for the Bug-Eyed Fool's resignation because of that stunt he pulled reading that that statement he made up. Literally makes it up. You've seen it, I'm sure. He should step down. We have DeGeneva and Tensing. They're saying that this so-called whistleblower has got 3 different tight connections to Soros. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Democratic candidates out on the campaign are being asked about Joe Biden. None of them are defending him. None of them. The only one, the Rotten Reverend. And we know why she is. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See you guys.